What's up, guys? You know who it is. It's your boy Kenny with JDM Muscle, and we're back with the S13 and took it for a test drive. We do have drifting coming up in a couple days on Saturday, but I was noticing that I've got a sticky clutch pedal. So I'll show you what it looks like here in a second on the car. It is catching. It's not releasing all the way back up like it should. Even if I hit it pretty quickly, it's not coming all the way up. So something is not releasing. It's going to be one of two things. Either master cylinder, which is what you would fill underneath the hood with your brake fluid for your clutch, or it's going to be underneath the car, actually hooked into the transmission, your slave cylinder, which actually pushes a fork. So I ended up getting the slave cylinder first. I think that's going to be the issue. So first we're going to jack up the car. I'll show you guys a sticky pedal, and then this is pretty self-explanatory. It's just basically one line and then the two bolts. We'll remove the old one, we'll pop the new one on, bleed the master cylinder itself. That way there's no air bubbles, and that's it. If it doesn't fix it, next we'll have to make a video on changing out the master cylinder. So, all right guys, so gas, brake, clutch. So goes all the way down. You can see that it's sticking, which is not good, because the last thing we need is for my foot to not notice that it's not coming back up, or I go to clutch kick and just not engaging. So it's not going down, it's not coming back up. So guys, let's switch out that slave cylinder, and if not, from underneath where I'm hitting is actually the master cylinder, which is hooked to the clutch pedal. So it might be that as well, but let's do the slave cylinder. So let's jack up the car. Guys, so this is on an SR20DET motor, but with a 5-speed transmission. So this 5-speed transmission goes on the SRs as well as the KAs. So in ordering this slave cylinder right here, it does not matter if you order it for either one. Now, if you upgrade to a CD09 off of a 350Z, it is going to be different, but this is running the 5-speed slave cylinder. So what I'm going to do first is break this free, this braided line. I'm going to break this free. That way it's loose, and then we're going to take this bolt out, and then it is off, guys, just like that. I like to break this free first because at least it's held on by these 2 points. So that way you have something to hold it while you break this free. Once you pull these off and down, you can then take this all the way off with it down here, and then you swap it right back onto the new part. So let's break this free. So and then crack this loose. You can see it's starting to bleed out just a little bit from here. The 14s. You can loosen all the way, and then set them to the side. This comes off just like that. Now we have the part in hand. From here, we can just let it hang a little bit. I need 2 hands here in a second. Otherwise, I'm going to screw this off right away so it doesn't all bleed out. I'm going to pop it right onto the next one, or the new one, and then the new one we're just going to put right into place and then screw on. So I'm going to take this off, pop it on the new one, push the new one into place, and pop both on. All right, guys, so what I ended up finding was when taking this off and going to put the new one on, it does not have the locking nut in there. So I did have to put the part back on. That way I could break that whole piece free, because I am going to need it all for the new one. So on camera, let's just blast this thing off. We're going to lose fluid everywhere. But whatever. Let's get some of that old nasty shit out, I guess, because it looks like shit. But I did just add a bunch of new. And we'll just screw it on. So basically the exact same thing we would have done earlier if I would have just opened up the new part and seen that it didn't come with a nut in there. So now we're just going to screw this one back off, and then pop this one into place and screw the 2 14 mils back on. All right, guys, so now that we had it bolted up, all the 14s are tight, everything's tightened down, we were going to bleed the brakes. Very hard to video bleeding the brakes. I even have somebody helping me out. So what you do is, this is an 8mm, you put it on the bleeder valve and you loosen it. Well, while you're loosening it, at the same time, your friend, partner, whoever it may be, is going to push the clutch all the way down, hold it on the ground. What that is doing is pushing the air out of the system through the hole, of course, to bring down the fluid.
So it's just grabbing it, breaking it free, and then eventually fluid will squirt out, and then tighten it up, and then do it a couple times. Mine is passing freely, so the pedal is still not releasing, so it is going to be the master cylinder. So this video was just turned in from slave cylinder to a master and slave cylinder.
All right, guys, so unfortunately, you know, it wasn't just a slave cylinder, but it's okay. The car is already in the air, and I was able to go back to AutoZone, pick up the master slave cylinder itself for about 22 bucks. I picked up another big jug of .4 brake fluid, nothing special, Pro Shop, .4 brake fluid, 32 ounces for 10 bucks from AutoZone, so about 37 bucks all in. So I'm going to show you guys how to now install this, and of course we're then going to have to bleed it and follow the same process of bleeding that slave cylinder from underneath, just like we did. But let's get started. Let's get under the hood, unhook the old one, and put the new one. All right, guys, well, there the master cylinder is. You can see the braided line. Now the two bolts, there's one. The other one is down and a little bit deeper. So I'm going to try to see if I can move that reservoir right there out of the way, and then maybe I can get to it a little bit easier, but I guess we're going to see what the easiest thing is. I do know that it's a 13 millimeter bolt that are on there, so we are going to have to get those. All right, guys, I got both bolts off, but it was a pain in the ass. I actually had to release my fender all the way to be able to get in here to really move some of these bolts to loosen that up. I actually had to start taking apart the reservoir itself. I had to pull all lines off just to be able to fit my hands down in there far enough to, God, you can't even see, get those bottom bolts off. Now we have to go underneath the car, release just the one bolt that is attached to the clutch pedal itself, and then that can pull right out. And then we're just gonna put it back in the same way. I'm probably gonna have to assemble it inside the car, which kind of sucks because I don't want any debris or anything. So I just went underneath the dash. All it is the fork is, now that this is loose, comes out. This fork just attaches underneath to the clutch pedal itself, just held on by a bolt. So this is out. Let's throw this junk away and put the new one in. So here's the piece. As you can see, I did disassemble it. I did put this end on, that way it's already on and tightened down. I did adjust this already. So just go back into the hole. If I can find the hole. Just like so. Sorry, my light's dying and this has just been a pain in the ass. All right, so it's on. This time I'm gonna start with the bottom bolt since that was the biggest pain in the butt. Then we'll do the top one, and then we'll reassemble it from the top, and then connect the bottom and put the lines on. All right, guys, now that we finally have it back in, I do need to put all this back into place. I need to bolt everything down, and of course I need to run this line back onto the end. And then from there, let's fill it and bleed it and pray that everything works. And then do not forget to connect the fork underneath the dash to the clutch pedal. All right, guys, so everything is officially done on the 240. That's switching out the master cylinder and then, of course, the slave cylinder. Slave cylinder is extremely easy, guys. It is literally just undoing the one hose, two bolts. Now, the master cylinder is easy as well. The hard part for me was getting to the two bolts. There's just absolutely no room in there. I have extra sensors with the upgraded turbo, the downpipe, everything just is just all crammed it all into one area. I have a lot in one spot, and it was extremely hard to get to the bolts, so I had to remove extra pieces. I actually had to remove that fender just to be able to reach through to unattach some other just parts and pieces that I have attached over to the side firewall. So that was extremely hard for me. If you guys have a more set up stock 240, you can probably easily get to the two bolts on the master cylinder and it won't take half as much time. That's where my time was spent. Otherwise, on the master cylinder, the little fork that goes into the clutch pedal, that was pretty hard to reach with the roll cage, me leaning over the roll cage trying to reach up and put that on. But guys, overall, this really shouldn't take you to do all this, plus bleed the brakes with a friend, or at least bleed the clutch, I'm sorry. Should only take maybe an hour to 2 hours. It did take me probably the 2 hours having to get up and down just because I couldn't reach those bolts, so that did take a little bit longer. I couldn't actually fit anything in there except a wrench, so I was just doing those small little quarter turns trying to make it work. But everything is on, did just fire the car, and we have full pedal. It is releasing and coming back up all the way to us. I did put it into gear. So if anything, it was nice to get some brand new brake fluid, which is actually what we're using for clutch fluid. So it was nice to have fresh clutch fluid in there for the rest of the season. That way we don't have to drain it out. So guys, I hope you like this video. Like I said, I got both pieces from AutoZone. Let's say 50 bucks all in with some clutch fluid. So guys, you can't beat that. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe. And guys, this is it. So we go test out a brand new layout at Kalamazoo Speedway. I'm gonna help Tucker test out some brand new layouts tomorrow. We've got 1 hour to test out 5 layouts. Otherwise, Saturday, the 26th is the next drift event. So let's get it. Peace out, and until next time.